Did you just buy a home, or are you about to embark on the American dream and buy yourself a home? If so, then you need to check out these 10 home maintenance tips for homeowners. These tips are going to save you lots of potential headaches and set yourself up for saving money in the long run. Take it from me, people. I have made most of these mistakes, so watching this video will make sure that you won't repeat them. All right, let's jump in. Tip number 1, clean your gutters, people. All right, you may have seen that neighbor, or heaven forbid, been that neighbor where you have weeds growing out of your gutters. No, I'm not judging you here because I was that neighbor. I discovered that I needed to clean my gutters because I saw what looked like a farmer's field growing and thought, how is this possible? So I got up on a ladder, I looked, and my gutters were just packed with dirt, pine cones, pine needles, and fermented leaves, and it was creating the perfect compost pile for seeds to germinate. So needless to say, water was not running down my gutters. So up I went, up with a bucket and a garden gloves, and I emptied my gutters. So here's a helpful hint for when you're cleaning your gutters. If you're using one of those aluminum extension ladders, okay, well, they typically have a hole in the sides passing from left to right through them. So take a broomstick and slide it through the hole and it will stick out the other side. You can do it on the right side if you're right-handed, or go the other way if you're left-handed. Anyway, just hang the bucket on the broomstick, and that way you don't have to hold the bucket. Awesome, this works for paint cans as well. All right, free-flowing gutters are extremely important in keeping water away from your foundation. And in Minnesota, water management is extremely important for keeping basements dry. Also, if you have trees that touch your roof or are very close and they're dropping debris in the gutters, like happened to me, you may want to trim those trees back a bit, and this is going to be better for your gutters and your roof. Which leads me to tip number 2, check your roof. In Minnesota, most of the roofs are shingles, and so there's some things that you're going to want to check. And I do not recommend you going up on your roof. All right, don't do it. This is not safe, and I recommend that you have a professional come by and inspect your roof, or use a drone with a camera to inspect the roof if you feel you need to do it yourself. All right. Now, if you had a home inspection, most of the time they'll go through the roof and check it for you, but a lot of times they don't. But read through all the details provided by your home inspector. All right. Now, the things you're going to want to look at from the ground or the ladder while cleaning your gutters is you're going to look for curling, buckling, or bubbling of the shingles, and also look for cracks if you can see them. Now, this might be difficult from the ground, I know, but look for them if you can. And also look for missing shingles or missing portions of the shingles, and also look for bunches of moss or lichens that are on the shingles. Now, if you see the moss or lichens, this could indicate that there's moisture under the shingles and there could be rot. Now, because they're there, it doesn't mean or necessarily mean that that there's rot, but because they do grow on a lot of shady areas of the roof that doesn't get a lot of sunlight. But just be aware, okay? So I strongly recommend a roofing contractor to inspect your roof. And also, this way you know how much life is left on your roof before you have to replace all the shingles, and this will allow you to budget for a new roof as a new homeowner. All right. Tip number 3, drain your water heater once per year. This is a very simple thing to do to lengthen the life of your water heater, because those sediments that can build up over time can cause rust on the bottom of your tank, and that's how the leaks happen. So draining your water heater once every year should be just sufficient. And here's a very, very, very important note. Take note here, please. If your water heater is electric, please be sure to shut the power off of your water heater at the electric panel before you drain it. You will burn out your water heating elements if there isn't any water in the tank. Again, this is a lesson I learned the hard way, all right? Tip number 4, service your HVAC systems. In Minnesota, it's very important to have your furnace checked once per year in the fall before the heating season to make sure that it's operating properly, i.e., that there's no harmful emissions being expelled into your house like carbon monoxide. Additionally, have the AC unit checked as well so it's ready to go when the heat and humidity arrive next summer. Keeping these systems running in top condition will prevent you from ever having your furnace go out in the dead of winter. Been there, done that too. Yep. We had as many heaters as there were rooms in the house, trying to keep the house warm and make sure that the pipes don't burst. I've never had that before, and maintaining your furnace will ensure that you won't have that happen to you either. Tip number 5. As soon as you can, replace the batteries on all of your smoke and carbon monoxide detectors. Moving into a new home, you don't know when they were last changed, so write the date on the battery so you know the last time that they were changed. This is what I do. Additionally, I change the batteries the same date every year, and the date that I chose is Halloween because it's basically the beginning of the heating season. So you'll want to make sure that the carbon monoxide detectors are operating properly for maximum safety. Additionally though, you also may want to go the extra mile by replacing all of your carbon monoxide and smoke detectors in your home when you move into a new house. Now, unless it's been built in the last 5 years or so, I recommend that you change out the detectors. It's just a good thing. And besides that, they're reasonably inexpensive to fix, so you can go to your local hardware store or your big box store, and you can get a combination smoke detector, carbon monoxide detector for about $30 or so. But at the very minimum, be sure that you replace the batteries. Tip number 6. Replace or clean your filters. I've heard more than once that most HVAC contractors recommend you use the cheaper per month filter rather than the expensive ones that last every 3 months. The reason being is your house actually breathes. If you have the more expensive filter, less air is going to go through it, and it makes your furnace work a lot harder, lessening the lifespan of your system, and also it can create an imbalance in your house. What this does is it can cause your furnace to actually stop working. Yes, this actually happened to me in the dead of winter because I had too many vents in the house blocked or closed, and there was too dense of an air filter, and the furnace quit working in the middle of the winter. So the technician who adjusted the furnace told me all about how your house has to breathe and have proper airflow. Now, if you have an air exchanger also in your house, that would be that 2 foot by 2 foot or 2 foot by 3 foot box that's suspended from the joist in your furnace room, you're going to want to clean those filters in there. And if you've bought a house that's, say, older than 5 years, you would be surprised at how much dirt is in there because they probably didn't clean them, right? All right. But be sure to follow the instructions on the label. It will tell you how to do it. Or go to YouTube. All right. Also, clean the exterior vent of your dryer. I'll bet there's a pound of lint in there, okay? Because you need to clean it because this could be a fire hazard, so be prudent. And don't forget your refrigerator water dispenser filter. So those are usually in the back top inside of the refrigerator. So you're going to want to change that. And lastly, did you know that your dishwasher has a filter? Yep. You're going to want to clean that too so you don't burn out your dishwasher motor. All right. Tip number 7. Service your garage door. Have you ever come home when it's pouring rain, your garage door won't open, and you get out of your car and try and lift it yourself and you can't, and you end up getting soaking wet? Yep, that happened to me. The garage door spring broke. So that spring is that long coil of metal that's up on the inside of your garage just above the door. Have that checked out, and then you can see if that needs to be replaced before you get locked out of your house. because your garage won't open, or worse, you have a meeting that you have to be at and your car is stuck in the garage because the garage door won't open. Yes, that's all happened to me. All right, tip number 8, check that basement sump pump is working properly. In 2018, if you lived in the Twin Cities, you'll remember we had record snows in the spring, and then it got warm quickly and it rained a ton. So all that rain went on the top of the snow, and with all the frozen ground, the water had nowhere to go. So with the snow around the houses, the water flowed towards the homes, along the foundation, underground, and flooded thousands and thousands of basements in the Twin Cities. And as a realtor, I saw it many, many times that spring. So the best thing you can do is pour a bucket or 2 or 3 of water into the sump pump basin and make sure that the float rises, and then it switches on the pump and water ejects out through the hose outside. So make sure that hose though is away from the house so that the water doesn't flow back towards the foundation. Furthermore, make sure that sump pump pipe has what's called a check valve. That's a black tube that connects the upper pipe and the lower pipe, and this will prevent water from backflowing from the pipe back into the basin. And so the lower the check valve, the better. Now if you see it doesn't have one installed. Also, if you see that the water from the sump pump goes into a drain of some kind in the house, that's a huge no-no. It needs to be drained back outside, because this water, called gray water, cannot be handled by the wastewater treatment system. So if too many people do this, it will overwhelm the system and it will cause problems to our groundwater. And lastly, most importantly, get a battery backup system for your sump pump. If there's a rainstorm like we can sometimes have in Minnesota, so the power can go out and it's pouring rain, and then your sump pump will no longer pump water out because the power's out. So this could cause a flood in your basement, and I've heard this happening many, many times, okay? So this is a horrible thing to have happen, especially if you have a finished basement like a lot of homes have. A battery backup system costs about $100, and it's a great insurance policy against a flooded basement. Tip number 9. If you have a wood-burning fireplace, have your chimney inspected. It's a pretty inexpensive, and it will ensure that no pests will get in, and also make sure that it's safe to have a fire in your fireplace so it doesn't set your house on fire, right? So you're going to want to have it inspected and cleaned, all right? So no, thank goodness, that has never happened to me because I've always had my chimneys inspected. But it can happen because if you're in a new house, you don't know if the previous homeowner either A, had it cleaned or inspected, or B, used pine logs. Now that too is a no-no because pine wood tends to smoke a lot more, and that's going to make creosote build up in the chimney, and that can catch fire. So if you have your chimneys cleaned and inspected, have them be done for maximum safety. All right, tip number 10. In the fall, on a cold, cooler day, say 40 to 50 degrees, walk around the inside of your house and note all the windows and exterior doors that you either see light kind of peeking through or you feel a draft. If you do, install weather stripping around all the windows and the doors to keep the warm air in and the cold air out. And this is also going to save you a lot of money on your heating and electric bill. Weather stripping, it will most likely pay for itself in less than one heating or cooling season. So if you haven't bought a home yet and you'd like to know some of the best suburbs to live in, check out my other video called 5 Favorite Minneapolis Suburbs. I give a ton of information about the great areas to live in and around the Twin Cities. And as always, if you like what I share, click the like, subscribe, and the bell below to be notified when I upload a new video. I appreciate your time today, and thanks for watching.